Good morning, everybody. It's time for Morning Manna. It's better to be early than not at all. This morning, I'm a little bit early, but nevertheless, I got the same word for you as if it was 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Well, it's 7:30. That's okay. I got a word I got to get into you. Remember, we are studying this week Psalms 139. Psalms 139, all 26 verses. And today we're going from verses 17 through 22. Verses 17 through 22, unthinkable. Unthinkable. Well, I'm going to read that in a moment. Want to greet a couple of people and then get right into the word of God on this morning. Want to get right into the word of God in this morning. Caught a couple of people off guard. So, well, Bishop, wait a minute now. You a little bit early this morning. I am. I am. Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, Diane. How are you? You know what? The early bird gets the worm. Is that not right? The early bird gets the word too. Well, I'm going to jump right into the word on this morning. As you know, good morning, Edith. How are you? Long time no see. Come and see us. Good morning, Peggy. How are you? Remember, we are going through Psalms 139 this week. We're studying Psalms 139 this week, and it's verses 17 through 22. Verses 17 through 22. Let me read those for you. It's the English Standard Version, ver, uh, verse 17 and following. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I would count them, they are more than the sand. I awake and I am still with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked. O God, O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against you with malicious intent. Your enemies take your in vain. Catch this. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord, and do I not loathe those who rise up against you? Watch what the writer says in Psalms. I hate them with complete hatred. I count them as my enemies. Now, here is the writer saying his whole sense of who God is, who he is, and how God is working in his life. He raises the issue of the thoughts of God, and the thoughts of God are far beyond his. Then his mind goes immediately to the wicked, the people who are seemingly getting away with things. And he's wondering, God, why aren't you doing something about them? Well, I guess what, God? I'm going to hate them because they hate you. And we should, of course, hate the things that God hates. Now, but he begins with this thought of, I cannot comprehend your thoughts. That's where I want to land. Unthinkable. Unthinkable. Three things I want you to grab a hold of what the psalmist is saying. Even in the sake and in the very wake of the wicked that you see. The first thing is this: don't lean to your own understanding. Proverbs 3 tells us, lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. You can waste a whole lot of brain power trying to figure out how evil people continue to move forward. It's unthinkable. Second is this: ask God for the wisdom. Again, lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him. And James comes along and says this. James says, if you lack wisdom, if you don't understand it, if you can't grasp it, ask him. God will give it to you freely without judging you for asking, even if you have to ask again and again. Don't lean to your own understanding. Ask for wisdom. Here's the third thing that you got to grab a hold of. How is it that people that seemingly are not living their lives according to the word of God, but constantly get ahead? Here's the third thing: leave it up to God. Leave it up to God. Remember, he said that he reigns on the just and the unjust. The sun rises on both and sits on both. Leave it up to God. What's your takeaway this morning? Here is your takeaway. And I want you to grab this and walk with this today. as we study Psalms 139. Don't get a headache trying to figure out how God is going to work it out. Don't get a headache trying to figure out how God is going to work this whole thing out with evil, with you, and how things are operating in the world. Trust Him. Trust Him. The Lord be with you today. His face shine upon you and give you peace. I'm a little early, of course, but it's better to be early than not at all. See you tomorrow morning as we close the chapter on learning from Psalms 139. God bless you. Share the manna. Don't keep it to yourself. Bye now.